Hello, everybody, and welcome. All right. Welcome, everybody. I wait for a bunch of people to get in, and we will get going on this. If you haven't hit that like, please hit that like. Please also subscribe. If you have not subscribed, you will be kept up to date with all the verified latest information that comes out in the cases that we follow. I'm going to ask, please do not mention any other channels here. Also, please mask any swear words or any words concerning the death word that starts with M, stuff like that. Please mask your words if you are going to choose to use swear words, stuff like that. Please mask them. YouTube does not like them. And please be respectful to everybody. Everybody can have a difference of opinion. I have no problem with that at all. What I have a problem with is when you start attacking a person or the family, victims, whatever. Attack the information. Don't attack the person. That's when you're going to run into some problems here because we don't allow that here. This is a safe place for everybody, and we want to keep it that way. The mods are there for a reason. They are very strict, and if they will give you a warning, and if you still do not heed that warning, they will remove you. I want to get that out of the way first, because I get a lot of emails after live saying, your mod says your mods. My mods are there for a reason. They know what I like to follow. They know what is okay and what's not on this channel. And that's to make it safe for everybody. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to touch on very quickly, and then we're going to get into the Sebastian Rogers case because there's a lot of stuff that's come out about that. I've got some information for you guys. A lot of people criticize card readers and stuff like that. I know there's some good ones out there. I know there's some bad ones out there. Be careful who you choose to follow. See how long they've been online. How long have they been doing this? Have they just jumped on big cases like this, or have they been here for a while and they follow everything? Okay, it tells you a lot. Or when you see readers that only come out with a read that is very similar to one of your trusted readers, and it's come out after that trusted readers, because a lot of the times they are just, watching other readers and then copying their information. So, somebody in Jersey won the Mega Millions. Maybe that's why Des isn't here. Maybe she won the millions and she's hightailed it. Welcome, fellow lobsters. I love it. Are we the lobsters now? Summer Dawn, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the super chats and love and the subscribing and the likes, and I just love it all. So thank you very, very much, Summer. It does help the channel immensely. Okay, so I'm first going to just go over really quickly the Riley strain information that's come out about this new autopsy. Got a lot of stuff in the comments. A lot of people, they tend to read or listen to the news. What I'm looking at now, who is this from? I think it's News Nation. And then they put a spin on it. They put their own little spin on what they think they've heard and whatnot. So I'm going to bring it out here. Number one, yes, his body was found 8 miles downriver from where the police officer seen him. Hello, everybody. Patty Ward, K. Mitch, Juror 11, love ya. K. Mitch, love yous. True Crime Time, hello, hello. Tammy Lou's Front Street, hello. So let me get the information out, you guys. Then we can comment on it. We're going to have a lot of commenting because we're going to go over the Nancy Grace thing, because I have come... and there's something else, too, that I've just come across from another YouTuber, and I will mention him because I give credit to YouTubers that find out stuff and bring it to the forefront. I will also link to their channel in the description below, so you can go and watch the whole thing if you want. I'm only going to use a couple little parts of it because there's some interesting things that I found there. Nancy Grace was the best. So Riley, Riley Strain, when they found his body, all they found on him was his shirt and his Apple Watch. They didn't say nothing about underwear. They didn't say nothing about his phone. So those are two things I would like to know. Did he have at least underwear on? And where was his phone? He was found no pants, no boots, no wallet. Okay? Now, from what his parents have said, and I'm going to verify that because it comes from his parents and they would know best. He wore a belt. Okay? So that would keep his pants from coming off. Remember, when you go into the water, your body starts to bloat. Okay? So his pants would have just not fallen off. I've had people in the comments saying, oh, well, you know, his boots are weird. He should have still had his boots on, but the pants, I understand. Water gets in there and pulled off his pants. Well, how would his pants come off with those boots coming off? It doesn't make any sense. So I've tried to respond to some of them, but it just gets repetitive. He was found no boots, no pants, no phone, no wallet. We don't know if he had his underwear on. I could see the underwear coming off if the pants and boots were already off, but they don't mention that. So there's things that they are holding back. Where's his phone? Where is his phone? The parents also said he wore a belt, so his pants would not have come off in that water. The body bloats. His feet would have bloated. You know what I mean? So his boots and his pants, that's weird. His wallet, his dad said he always carried it in his front pocket, which means that would have not came out as easy as it would if it would have been in maybe, say, a back pocket. You know what I mean? So that's really weird. And what else is weird is his bank card was outside of that wallet. Okay? His wallet's never been found, right? But his bank card was about 4 feet from shore. And when you look at the pictures there, you guys, I got some really good pictures of that. There's huge rocks as the last drop, because there's 2 or 3 drops before you hit the water, because they got camps set up and tents and all that. Hello, Kath Collins from England. Welcome. Summer Dawn, always good to see you too. And there's big rocks there before you hit the water. So even if he would have fell down that last steep embankment, he would have hit them huge rocks. His bank card was found like 4 feet up from there, right? His wallet's nowhere to be found. Why isn't his wallet there? If he would have taken his wallet out and maybe dropped it, couldn't find it in the dark, where's his phone, right? So there's still, I think there's more questions now than answers. The family has requested a second autopsy, and I don't blame them for 1 minute. There was no water in their lungs. A lot of people are saying was in his lungs. A lot of people are saying dry drowning. Look up dry drowning and how that works, okay? And it's very rare in adults to have dry drowning. It's more apt to happen in children because they don't realize what's happening. There's water that's there that, usually adults will cough that up and, like try and get it out of their throats or something. Where kids, they just panic, right? They don't know. I read a really good article on it. I did tag it in a couple of the posts where people were saying dry drowning. The things that people go to automatically, it's ridiculous sometimes. Was he SA'd? Was he this? Was he try? People go to do these things automatically when they don't have really something good to say. In a case like this, it's totally off the wall. Now, dry drowning, no, don't believe it for a minute. If he would have drowned in that river, he would have had water in his lungs. There was none. When an adult falls in, you're grasping for your breath. You're trying to get out of the water. No. And if you start choking on the water, you cough that up. You know what I mean? If he couldn't get it out of his lungs, he would be inhaling. He would have had a lot of water in his lungs, you guys. Okay? So that's on the Riley Strain case. Thank you again, Summer Dawn, for your $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, the next thing I'm going to bring up, you guys, is something from JLR. And like I said, I don't mention channels, but this is his. So I'm not going to get into a big, huge discussion about JLR, or I know another one they said is out there is Dolly Vision. I'm not going to get into a big topic about that. I don't want to get into everything that they're saying and doing and whether I agree with them or not, whatever. But there's something that JLR brought out, 2 things in his last video. And I will put that in the description below so you guys can go and watch his full video. It's about 37 minutes long. And this is what I've caught. I'm going to share it with you. Okay, here it is here. Or let me get me off the screen here so it's bigger. Do you see what he's holding up? This is something that was sent to him, an interview that the bio mom and the stepdad did within the last 12 hours. Do you see here? Oh, my pointer. I'm not sharing it right because my pointer's not working. Okay, hang on. Let me share this. I don't know why it does that to me, you guys. Let's share the window. Entire screen and audio. Come on. Okay. See this? Look at where the mother is sitting. This looks like a closet door. This looks like a house. These are those blinds. This looks almost like she's in a house and he is somewhere totally different. Okay, so we know that they've taken off to an RV park called Yogi Bear Yellowstone Park. Aw, Summer Dawn, thank you so much. If you just received a membership, thank Summer Dawn. She's just gifted 5 memberships. So enjoy your memberships for the month. Hopefully you will want to keep it after your free membership ends. And thank you again, Summer Dawn, for that. So you see here, they're in 2 different spots. They're not in the same spot. We know that they're in the RV. We know that Katie left while her son is missing to go to be with Chris. Now, in the interview with Nancy Grace, which we're going to go over, Nancy Grace asked her, why'd you leave? Well, I came to support my husband. I wanted to be with my husband. If you go back to my read, you guys, I stated in that read, it came out in the read, that he was having an affair. Wait till we get into this because now we got proof of it. That he was having an affair and that there was lots of problems in that marriage and that they were blaming Sebastian and that he gave her an ultimatum. That's what came out in my cards. So did Katie choose Chris over her son? We also find out, wait till we hear this, we have found out that they were actually separated from what Chris said. That's why from the beginning of February until this happened with Sebastian, he didn't come home. Because in Chris's words to somebody, he was separated. Okay? Did Katie know that? Was the ultimatum, I can't handle Sebastian anymore. I can't be there. It's just, we can't do anything together. I'm out here, you're there. You can't even come out here and visit when you're not working, blah, blah, blah. Did he give her an ultimatum? That's what the cards said. The cards also said that he was having an affair. We got proof of it now. And also, apparently, now I haven't been able to verify this yet, but it was also said that Chris didn't want to do anything with Sebastian. Okay, so let's listen to this. Thank you again, Summer Dawn. Okay, so I wanted to bring this up. They're in 2 separate places here. So let's get to 507. Okay, let's go here. Put a 1 in the chat, you guys, once I start playing this, because I want to make sure you guys can hear it. Please let me know if you can hear it. Let's back it up just a little bit.
Its own mom is in big trouble with the law herself in Virginia. I don't know if you guys are aware of that.
Okay, can you hear it? Okay, great. So what he is talking about right now, like I said, I'm going to link this video down below so you guys can go and watch the whole thing if you want to listen to the whole thing, what he says. But I've listened to the whole thing now because this was sent to me. I did listen to the part that they told me to listen to because it says exactly what came out in my read. Apparently, Katie's mom is also in trouble with the law, a lot of trouble with the law. So, like I said, if you guys want to hear that after, go and watch that after this live. So, let's get to the part. Okay, here we go. Listen to this, you guys. You ready? You guys ready? Listen to this. This came out a couple weeks ago in my read. Listen.
Maybe this person is not telling the truth, but I find this person pretty credible in my...
Okay, wait a minute. Let's start back here.
Bartender / waitress from Alabama. And this person, I will not reveal their name, and you can, maybe look into this more yourself. Maybe this person is not telling the truth, but I find this person pretty credible in my eyes. I'm vetting it around. It says, just have some inside information. I'm a bartender at Texas Roadhouse in Alabama. For months, Chris was on a crane job site near Pelham, Alabama. He came into the restaurant several times a week, ordering the same thing, sat at the bar. He never...
Okay, just so you guys know, this is not the Texas Roadhouse that Katie said she went to that was close to their home. This is away from the home. This is at near the job site where this waitress. Remember my read said that he was having affairs or had an affair? Let's listen. This is a waitress that served him and knew him well because this is where apparently he used to always go to eat when he was out at the job site. Oh, come on. Give it a second, you guys. I hate when this happens.
Drank alcohol, sweet tea, filet steak rare. She's actually getting into specifics. Wanted his steak so rare it had to be cold. Claimed to have a disorder that he wasn't, that didn't allow his body to digest meat unless it was raw. Do you guys know anything about that? Can Chris Proudfoot eat meat? And does it have to be raw? He never would provide his name, and when asked for a name for his tab, he would always give random cartoon names like Mickey, Daffy, Goofy. Now, I thought this was kind of fake, but then I'm reading into this, and it actually makes sense.
Like, why do you guys think that he wouldn't give his real name? It's just odd to me.
Eventually, we labeled him as Scooby, and that's what he was known as moving forward. Chris spoke of his daughter in New Mexico that he may get to see twice a year, along with a custody battle. There was a death in the family at some point around October or November. The mother had an illness, something serious. I think maybe a brain tumor.
Okay, so this is also interesting, you guys, because his mother is very much still alive, right? And he's telling this waitress at Texas Roadhouse out near where he was working that his mother had a brain tumor and died back in November. Okay? Pick up on this, you guys. Wait, the best is coming. Listen.
There were multiple conversations ongoing and a lot of insight to his personal life, but never a mention of his wife or stepson. None of us had any idea he was married. This man pursued me in a dating matter.
There you go. He was pursuing this waitress and trying to date her. Okay, a lot of people say, oh, card readers, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just guessing at things. It came out in my reads, you guys. You can't make this stuff up. And then once my read came out, it's like, no, it's her that was cheating with some neighbor. No, it was him. And this is why I said, you guys, I trust my cards. I trust my ancestors. Okay? So now that this is all coming out, this is long after I did that read. I wonder what those same people that were criticizing me saying, that's not him, it's her. I wonder what if they're going to offer an apology.
Had I been interested, he would have gone that route. I texted him since seeing his face on the news and called him out on keeping his family a secret. He claims that they were separated at the time and doing much better now.
So there you go. He was claiming that he was separated. Okay? Claiming he was separated.
What was the wedge in the marriage if there was an actual separation? What did it take to fix that marriage? Now, I believe this person. I'm going to try to get this person on. This is
okay. So that's all I'm going to play from JLR, because it's not fair that I play his whole video, but I will just give me the link here. Here is the link to that. Crap. How come I can't do that? Here's the link to that to that right there. I will also put it in the description of the video once this video is done. But that's some good information coming from JLR. Okay. Apparently JLR is now leaving. He's going back to Florida. Okay. So there's the link for that. Now, this is what I want to go over with you guys. And we are going to be having to stop this throughout because there are some things here. Hang on. Entire screen. Window. Okay, wait. Chrome tab. Share. Okay. We are going to go over this here with Nancy Grace because a lot of information. Okay, before we even get into that, you guys, what do you guys think about what just came out? Yeah, what else? What else is this guy hiding? Okay. So before we get into this Nancy Grace thing, there's some stuff that came out that really got me shaking my head. I want to know when they got home, apparently. Thank you, Don Stedman, for your super sticker. I very much appreciate you supporting the channel, supporting me. Thank you. The concern that I have, okay, I know most of you have probably seen the Nancy Grace interview by now. If not, we're going to go through it right here where she has the parents on. She asked some pretty tough questions. Now, in the interview, and we're going to see it, they say that they have no automatic lights outside, that they have these two little lights on each side of the garage that are on all night. They also talk about the doorbell or CCTV cameras from the neighbors. And what she says is, at night, you really can't see anything over at our house. It's too grainy because it's dark. That right there, as soon as she said that, little red flags started flying around in my head. Okay, what time did you come home from eating? Because apparently they went and played bowling with two aunts and a cousin. From there, they went to eat. From there, they came home. What time did you get home? Was it dark? We know that when they came home, she pulled in the garage. So you wouldn't have seen Sebastian getting out of the car at the garage, in the garage. Was the video too grainy to even see if Sebastian even came home with her? Because anything after leaving that roadhouse where they ate, we have to rely on what Katie says. And do we believe Katie? I don't. There's just too many inconsistencies, and her actions after the fact, just no. I know everybody deals with stuff differently. Who leaves the home where Sebastian would come to if he had just gone out, wandered, or got taken and found his way back? He's going to come home. Why aren't you there? And in the interview, when Nancy Grace asks her, why'd you leave? Well, I want to be with my husband. What about your son that's missing? In other interviews later down the line, after they seen the outlash on the internet, you left your home for your husband instead of staying at home for your child? Once she's seen all that backlash, now she's saying, oh, it's because we were getting death threats. What? The neighbors were upset because people were coming around. Who cares about what the neighbors are upset about? Your child's missing. If my child was missing right now, I don't give a damn what the neighbors say. If people are coming around searching the neighborhood, I don't give a damn if that's upsetting the neighbors. My child's missing, right? But she's more worried about upsetting her neighbors. You know what I mean? If it's true that they left because all these YouTubers were coming around trying to, get them on camera. No, they were coming to the area because they wanted to see the area and where this happened and what was plausible and what wasn't for this little boy to walk out, and which way would he go and how would he get there? Is it plausible he would go over fences? Is there trails? They're going to get information. They're looking for your son. Hello, they're looking for your son. So who cares if the neighbors are upset about people coming to look for your son? Now, I agree. Don't go on private property. If you see something, like if you're out there searching and there's an area that you have, questions about, go knock on the door. Is it okay if we look over your fence? Don't just do it. Ask. But going up and down the street, looking at the construction site, stuff like that, that's not on people's personal property. You're on a city street. The construction site, I'm sure they don't want people on it, but it's not like you're in people's backyards there. But when there is a boy missing, a child missing, who cares if the neighbors are upset that there's people looking around in the neighborhood? Right? So there's that. Like, it just really, really irked me for the excuses that she gave. Not so much the fact that the neighbors are upset that there's YouTubers and TikTokers and everything in the area. They're allowed to be on public streets. But I don't know. It just irked me wrong. And this, she says that she parks in the garage. So if she did something to him in the house, I don't think she did. I don't even know if that little boy came home, because she goes on to say in the interview that she sends him to bed at 9 o'clock. And then at 10 o'clock, she hears a thud in his room and asks him, what are you doing? Stop that. Go to sleep. You don't go and check? Or she asked him, did you fall? No. Well, stop that. You didn't go and see what it was that happened, but you hear a thud? And we have to, if you believe her, then you'll believe that's true. I don't believe her. If I hear a bang or a thud in my child's room, I'm going to see what it is. You know what I mean? And then all this, I got up at 6 a.m., looked in his room. He wasn't there. Called the husband. Why didn't you call 911? If you looked in his room, looked in the house, he could have been in the bathroom. He could have been in the kitchen. Go around, look around the house. He's not in the house. Look outside your doors. He's not out there. Automatically 911. But she calls the husband. How do we know that he was even in Houston, where he says he was, or wherever it was he says he was? He could have called her on his phone, plugged his phone in, called her, right? Okay. I got to back up a little bit for this to make sense to you guys, and for it to be plausible. I believe he was having affairs. I think she found out. I think the reasoning was, I can't deal with this autistic child anymore. It got to be too much. He's had 5 marriages. Obviously, he's the problem. I think he gave her an ultimatum. I think she really thought about it for a while. And she said, okay, I'm about to lose my husband because he's messing around now. I've got to do something. I think she did something to him. I don't think the stepfather did. I think she did. And I think the ultimatum was just leave him go. But in leaving him go to his dad's, they would have had to pay child support for him. And this, I think, was one of the problems that Seth had, was paying for a child that wasn't his, that he didn't really like and didn't really want around. I'm going to say it bluntly. I'm sorry, but that's what I think. This came out in my read. There's a lot of stuff that I get in my read that I don't share because it's just not right to share it. But I don't think that he even liked this child at all. I think it was an ultimatum. It's me or him. He goes back to his dad's. We're going to have to pay child support. I'm not paying that. You can pay it. I'm not paying it. Right? Now, did she get that angry that she ended up freaking out on Sebastian? This is all your fault, and blah, blah, blah. It went too far. And she harmed him. Because in her eyes, Sebastian was going to make her lose her husband, because the husband didn't want nothing to do with Sebastian. That's what I think. D Lucky says Seth said no child support. I haven't heard that, so there is a reason. And even if it wasn't because of the child support, D Lucky, let me just put that up so I remember what I'm talking about. You can keep me on path here, because I tend to forget what I'm talking about. Even if there was no child support, I think she ended up losing her shit and getting into it with Sebastian, and it went too far, and he ended up not being alive anymore. And I feel like she had to get rid of him. And I think he didn't even make it home that night. Did you also know, you guys? So thank you for that, D Lucky. Something to think about. Yeah. And they're saying that he was going like to his dad's in a month. So I'm thinking that, remember the heated aggressive argument also came out? So did Sebastian say or do something that got her to a point where she just lost it on him, and it went too far, and she ended up unaliving him? Did you guys also know that in the first interviews, she doesn't mention leaving the house in her car in the morning, but she did? Apparently, in another interview that she did on another news station, I'm trying to still find it, she leaves in her car in the morning saying that she's going looking for him before they called the police. So in this phone call, did she tell Chris after we ate something happened? Did she tell him everything that happened? And I ended up hurting him so bad that he passed away. So I had to get rid of him. I need your help. They could have been on the phone. He could have left his phone in that RV plugged in, pretending to talk to her. Leave her phone open, pretending that they're talking for 3 hours, like she said. He could have hightailed it back. Right? So if they would have left the roadhouse after dinner, and she did something in between leaving the roadhouse and her going home, what time did she get home? Could something have happened during that time? And then she disposed of him somewhere, took him and disposed of him somewhere, gets home, pulls in the garage. Or is he still in the car? I don't know. I would think she would try and get rid of him as quickly as she could. He could have came home. Okay. After the roadhouse, he could have came home, started that phone call, came home, been there by midnight, did what they did to hide him, and then took off back to work again. Call me at 6:20. Yes, if anybody else mentions any other creator mods in the chat, just delete the comment and give them a warning, please. So there's a lot of things that could have happened during that time, and they're very vague on it. When Nancy Grace was interviewing them, why did they mention? No, she asked Chris, when's the last time you were home? Beginning of February. Why doesn't he say we were separated? Why doesn't he say that to Nancy Grace? but he told the waitress that he was trying to start an affair with. Okay, let's start listening to this, you guys, and we'll be stopping it and commenting on it during this.
Joining me right now, an all-star panel. But first, I'm going to go to two special guests joining us, Katie and Chris Proudfoot. This is Sebastian's biological mother and his stepfather, who were in their home with Sebastian when he goes missing. To both of the Proudfoots, thank you for being with us. I want to go straight back to when Sebastian goes missing. Miss Proudfoot, I understand that the day before, which would have been Sunday, if I've got the information correct, that you guys went out, you went to dinner, you went to somewhere, I believe you said BJ's, where he had a, quote, colossal popcorn. Then you came home that night, and around 9 p.m., you tell Sebastian to go to bed. He says, okay, he goes to his room. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That night, I understand from previous statements you've made that you went to bed around midnight. Is that correct?
It is.
Jory.com. Dr.
Damn it.
Is that Faith? Is your other daughter named Faith?
Hang on, you
Where do you work?
guys.
Out. You went to. We've
Sorry, you
read a lot
guys.
online. We've seen a lot of theories, a lot of colossal popcorn. Then you.
Okay. Do you guys not feel something there? Sorry, I hit the wrong thing by accident. She says that when they get home at 9 p.m., she tells him to go to bed. And at 12 p.m., she goes to bed. How many hours is that? 3, right? Doesn't Chris say that he's 3 hours away? Right? So could she have told him, look, this is what I did to Sebastian. Like, what do I do now? It's 3 hours between 9 and 12. It's a 3-hour drive from where he was home. It's just interesting. Did it happen like that? I don't know, but it's interesting.
Came home that night, and around 9 p.m., you tell Sebastian to go to bed. He says, okay, he goes to his room. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That night, I understand from previous statements you've made that you went to bed around midnight. Is that correct?
It is.
And to you, Mr. Proudfoot, Chris Proudfoot, did you also go to bed at midnight or before or after?
No, ma'am. We went to bed around the same time as we were on.
So they go to bed at the same time because they were on the phone together. Really? Sedona's guy says, do we really know when Sebastian truly went missing? That's what I'm saying right now. Let me just turn that off. That's what I'm saying. We have no proof other than trusting this woman who has come out with a lot of different stories that he came home with her. The only one that can prove that is her. So, did Sebastian come home? Did something happen between leaving that roadhouse and the time when she actually come home? Did something happen between then and midnight? Were they on the phone together because she had to hide him? I don't know. But I really find it odd. Who lays on the phone? You're separated, Chris. Because that's what you told the waitress. When she called you up, because there's a waitress. If you haven't seen that, rewind. I did it at the beginning of this. You're trying to hook up with. You never mention your wife or Sebastian to this woman. Just your other daughter in a custody battle going on, right? You don't mention Katie or Sebastian. And then she doesn't take you up on your offer. She doesn't want nothing to do with you that way. But then when she sees your name and your face on TV and your stepson being missing, she calls you or messages you and says, hey, why were you hiding the fact that you had a wife and kid? Oh, well, we were separated. Things are getting better now, but we were separated. Really? Why aren't you saying this to Nancy Grace right now? If you guys were on the phone for 3 hours lovey-dovey talking, did your wife know that you guys were separated? Are they both lying through their teeth right now, pretending like they were a united front when they weren't? Let's continue.
The phone together.
And
He was not home.
please excuse. Please excuse any of my questions. I'm simply trying to find out more about that night. Do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
He wasn't actually in the home at all that weekend.
Ah,
Christopher
you were
wasn't.
not home.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
So where were you, Mr. Proudfoot?
I was in Memphis, Tennessee.
How far away is that?
3 hours and 37 minutes from doorstep to doorstep.
And what were you doing in Memphis?
Working.
Where do you work?
I'm currently working, or was working, at the St. Jude Children's Hospital construction project.
Yes, I'm very familiar.
I love her. I love her. Where were you? What time? Where did it? 3 hours and some odd minutes, doorstep to doorstep. Okay. Did you hear him say that? It's really funny that from 9 to 12, Sebastian goes to bed at 9. You say you go to bed at 12, but you were talking for 3 hours on the phone. The exact amount of time that it would take you to get back to that house if she had done something already to Sebastian. Did you rush back? Did she say, okay, I didn't know that I dropped him. I just threw him in the ditch over there. You got to come and pick him up. I can't leave because it'd show on my car, or the neighbors might see me leaving, whatever. You got to get your ass back here. Oh, okay. You're there. Did you find him? Okay. Like I'm thinking off the wall here, but it's my theory. It's like, you say you were on the phone for 3 hours. You know what I mean? Did he have a burner phone? Did he have a separate phone? Okay, this is where I dropped him. Hightail it here, pick him up, get rid of him somewhere else so they can't pin it on me. And hightail it back to work? I don't know, but there's time for that by the time she goes to bed to make sure you got the right spot where he was.
Familiar with St. Jude's. You said you were working there. Are you no longer working there?
Right now, that's up in the air.
It's up in the air. Okay. Remember that. Up in the air. So right now he is not working at St. Jude's. So why are you guys back there? And why is Katie with you this time? Why are you back there then? Right? Why are you back there? Why aren't you at home waiting for this little boy?
You've been gone ever since Sebastian went missing. So I understand. When you are home, do you two sleep in the same bedroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a 3-bedroom home?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, maybe Nancy
where is
knows
your
something.
room as it relates to Sebastian's room?
It's on the opposite end of the house. The master bedroom's on one side, and the other 2 bedrooms are on the other side of the house.
Okay, so your master bedroom is on one side of the house and Sebastian's room is on the other side of the house. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you have a 3rd bedroom that I believe you keep for your other daughter. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that Faith? Is your other daughter named Faith?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So where is Faith's bedroom as it relates to Sebastian's bedroom?
It's in the back side of the house. Sebastian's bedroom is
So
on the
it's-
front side of the house.
Okay. So his bedroom,
I see that too. Dosia Dude just says they look both stone-faced. Like your stepson and your biological son are missing. And there's no emotions whatsoever. None. Zero. Okay, Mitch says, here's when all the bedrooms get mixed up. Yeah. I guess his daughter's room and Sebastian's room is on one side of the house. Sebastian's room faces the front. His daughter's bedroom faces the backyard. Their bedroom is at the other end of the house near I don't know, but they're at the other end of the house.
is away from Faith's bedroom and away from your master bedroom. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is Sebastian's room on a top floor or a ground level?
We have a ranch style house. It's a 1.5 story. So everything's flat, and then you have the bonus room above the garage.
Okay. So his is on ground floor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That morning, was there any sign of a break-in through a window, a front door, a back door, a sliding glass door, anything at all?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No sign of forced entry. Was anything taken from the home at all?
Not that we could find any.
Okay. No forced entry and nothing taken from that home. Nothing. The dogs didn't bark. So she says a stranger took them. If a stranger came into the house, how would he get in the house? The dogs would be barking their heads off. You know what I mean? Nothing they say makes sense.
Anything. We couldn't find anything missing.
I want to circle back to Sebastian's shoes regarding if anything was missing. Do you have a burglar alarm?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a Ring doorbell cam?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have the two of you taken a polygraph?
Here we go.
I have.
I have not.
Okay. Did you hear him? I'm going to back it up just a couple seconds here. Okay. He previously said they both passed polygraph tests. Am I right or am I wrong? Come on, chat. You guys are smart. You guys follow this stuff. You guys catch stuff. Do you remember their first interview when he said they're both cleared? They both passed their polygraph test. Do you remember that? Come on. Come on, you guys. Do you remember when he said they both passed their polygraph? Because that was a big discussion among a lot of channels. They usually don't tell you whether you passed or not. Some say they do, some say they don't. But he said that they both passed, right? Listen.
Shoes regarding if anything was missing. Do you have a burglar alarm?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a Ring doorbell cam?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Have the two of you taken a polygraph?
I have.
I have not.
I
Would you be
have
willing to?
not.
I've offered and volunteered on many occasions to take a polygraph, and I was told directly by law enforcement because of my whereabouts, I did not need one.
Wait a minute. The police would have jumped at the chance to polygraph this guy. They would have jumped at the chance. I was told I didn't need one because I was so fit. No, you said, I'm not taking one. I wasn't even there. I'm not taking one. No, that's what happened. I'd like to see an officer come out and say, he offered a polygraph and we refused. I call BS. And in a previous interview, he said they both passed a polygraph. So why you lying? Why you lying?
I understand. Ms. Proudfoot, did you pass your polygraph?
I did.
Those questions out of the way. Was Faith in the home when Sebastian went missing?
No.
No, ma'am.
Does anyone else have a key to your home beside your immediate family?
No.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So,
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out.
I
Right.
was falling asleep on him, so
Damn
that's when
it.
he told me.
I did it
I did.
again.
Those questions out of the way. Was Faith in the home when Sebastian went missing?
No.
No, ma'am.
Does
No, he's
anyone
not allowed to
else
see her.
have a key to your home beside your immediate family?
No.
No, ma'am.
Nobody else has a key to that home. Okay. You've just ruled out anybody else being able to get in because remember at the beginning, she's smart. I love Nancy Grace. A lot of people don't like her. I love her. Right at the beginning, she said, there's no forced entry, right? And they said, nope. Now she gave it a little bit and asked other questions. Now she's asking, does anybody else have keys? No. So nobody else had a key to get in. So if anybody would have got in that house, it would have been forced entry. Like, she's smart, you guys. She's smart. Because there's no forced entry. So nobody else got in that house. If you had your child safely in that house, and she says somebody took them. And a kid is not going to go out in the middle of the night, especially somebody who's autistic. She says he doesn't have friends. He wears shoes. The father said he wears shoes because of stepping on an anthill. He even puts his little shoes on just to go out and throw the garbage out. So he would have put on shoes. He would have been, especially in the dark, terrified to step on a snake, anything. It doesn't make any sense, you guys.
That night, Miss Proudfoot, at midnight when you went to bed, what did you do until midnight?
I had been reading a chapter that I needed to, and I had been talking to my husband on the phone.
Okay. So apparently she's going through college again for something, right? How are you reading a chapter and talking at the same time? How are you doing that? I want to know. Because I know when I was going through school, and law is hard. I don't know what she was taking, but when I was studying, I couldn't take my eyes off it. I had to know what I was studying because I had an exam the next day or a couple days down the. How can you study or reading chapters and be talking for 3 hours at the same time? You said you talked to him for 3 hours. How could you study if you were on the phone with him for 3 hours? How could you study? Ding, ding. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, guys. It's just a minute detail, but it's a detail. How can you study and read chapters and talk at the same time?
I was falling asleep on him, so that's when he told me it was around midnight. He told me to go ahead and put the dogs up and go to bed. And
Okay, so he had to tell you to put the dogs up and go to bed? What? Did he tell you put the dogs up, go to bed? Because the deed was done? He's made it back and don't worry, I've got him well hidden now? I don't know. But there's something off here. You can't study and be reading and talking on the phone and now falling asleep. Why do you need your husband to tell you, put the dogs up, go to bed? What? Wow.
that's what I did. I got up, put the dogs where they sleep, and then
So I followed his
myself went to
instructions.
bed.
Where do they sleep?
They have a big pen
A pen, is it inside or outside?
inside.
Inside.
Inside. That reminds me of another question. Do you guys have a motion sensor light or lights on the outside of your house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored. We have lights.
Were they
not
on that
motion
night?
censored.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Did you hear that? And this is what I mean, you guys, because of the work that I did when I worked at the law office and I had to go over depositions and motions and I catch every little detail. Okay. Did you hear what she just said? Because this is going to be important. Listen, I'm going to back it up a couple seconds.
Do they sleep?
They have a big pen
A pen, is it inside or outside?
inside.
Inside. That reminds me of another question. Do you guys have a motion sensor light or lights on the outside of your
Listen.
house?
Yes, we do have lights on the outside of our house.
Did they activate that night?
They're not motion censored. We have lights.
Were they
not
on that
Listen
night?
to her.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Were they on that night? So the lights were out the whole night?
Yes, ma'am. We don't typically turn the floodlights on.
Okay. She says the lights were off. Were there lights on outside the house? And she says he went to say something and she overtalked him, which is unusual because it's usually him interrupting Katie. So Katie doesn't say the wrong thing. Katie says there was no lights on outside the house. He says there's no floodlights. So there's no automatic. Well, there's floodlights, but they're not automatic. Okay. Because later on in the interviews that he's done, he said the lights on each side of the garage are on every night. I don't know if they're solar lights or something, but once it gets dark, those lights come on. She just said there was no lights on outside the house. Let's continue.
Were there any lights outside the house on at all?
Just my little solar lights that we have in the garden.
There's
Yep.
2 lights on the side of the house above the garage that are on at all times.
Oh yeah.
There you go. First, they say there's no lights on. There was no lights on that night. She messed up. Then she says, oh, just the solar lights in the garden, which is they don't give off much light. But he says, well, there's lights on each side of the garage that are on all night. They're on all the time. So which is it? They just said there was no lights on outside. Now they're changing it.
Those are on.
Oh, there's a light above the garage. It's on at all times.
There's 2. Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
Okay. So those lights were on.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you know
Okay.
that, Chris?
The reason I'm asking is
How does Chris know that they were on if he wasn't home?
because I heard you say earlier, Mr. Proudfoot, that your neighbors have been very, very forthcoming with their Ring camera info. And I was
Yes, sir.
trying to determine if any lights were on, what, if anything, they may have caught. But I understand from your previous interviews that nothing of any evidentiary value was caught. And
Listen to
also,
this.
in another statement you gave, I understand that the video of the 2 flashlights, and I'm saying that with air quotes, that's not exactly what that was at all. We now don't believe that 2 flashlights were observed around your home. Is that correct?
You're
Yes.
very correct.
Okay.
How do you know this, Chris? Oh my God, you guys.
Question regarding your vehicles. Ms. Proudfoot, what make and model do you drive?
I drive
Do you see her look at her like, what? Why are you asking me that?
a Infinity SUV,
Year?
2017.
And sir, what do you drive?
I drive a diesel truck, Chevrolet.
Year?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's a
What guy does not know what year his truck is? Come on, guys, in the chat. Mostly women in here. If there's any guys in here, perfect. Come on, women. We all know our men. And we know our men know what year a vehicle they drive, especially a truck. Men's in their trucks. A man knows what year his truck is. Come on.
2021, I think.
I think.
So your Infinity SUV was parked in the garage or outside the garage that night, Ms. Proudfoot?
In the garage.
In the garage. And Mr. Proudfoot, your vehicle was on location in Memphis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So there's only one car at the home. Is that right?
There was actually a work vehicle in the driveway at the time as well, but it hasn't moved. We can't give out that information because we don't have permission.
Okay. You got a vehicle on your property that you can't give any information about? What the hell? They go on to say, and we're going to listen to it, that this is Katie's work vehicle and they're not okaying her giving any information about the truck. Right? Thank you, Kate. And he's stepping in. This is her work vehicle. Let her answer the questions, right? He seems to overpower her so she doesn't mess up. Okay? Anybody, like, you work for me, you got one of my company vehicles at your home, your child goes missing, give them any information, give them the keys to open it up, let them search it. I don't give a shit what you do. We need to find your son. I don't give a shit about the vehicle unless something is up with that vehicle. How does it play in yet? I haven't put it together yet, guys. You good? This is where you guys help me. I don't know. But for them to be this adamant, I can't give you no information about that vehicle. And it's not even her, it's him. Right? What's going on there? What's going on there? Right?
Permission from her work
Thank you, Kate
I don't
Bell.
understand that. What?
about the make and model of the vehicle.
I have a work van that was also parked in the driveway.
Why is that? If it's out in the driveway where people can see it, why is that privileged information?
We just don't have permission from her company to divulge that information.
Have you asked?
No, ma'am, we have not.
Okay. He just says, we don't have permission from the company to divulge that information. Nancy says, did you ask them? No. So it's not the company not saying you can't give any info. It's yous. It's these two. And they're trying to shift the blame to her company. Oh, it's her company that says we can't give that information. But they haven't even asked if they can give the information. Make it make sense, you guys. And like I say, this is what I mean. I catch everything. Thank you again, Kate Bell, for your super chat donation. It greatly helps the channel. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you.
Nobody's asked us
So
that
that
question.
was-
to be honest with you.
Okay, so you have a work van. Question to you, Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
Okay, you hear that? She is an installation technician. Why are all these other people saying that she works for Brinks? Because she just said she is an installation technician. Is there a company called Brinks Installation? I don't know. And this is what I mean, how things get warped and twisted. I don't know. She just said she works for an installation. Did she say installation? Okay. Hang on. Where are we at? Let me just play that again.
No, ma'am, we have not. Nobody's asked us
So
that
that
question.
was-
to be honest with you.
Okay, so you have a work van. Question to you, Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
I hear insulation. Do you guys not hear that? Hang on, let me crank this up. Where are we at? 320? Listen, I hear insulation.
Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
Insulation. I don't hear insta. I hear insulation. Listen, you guys.
I am an installation technician.
Installation. There's no T in there. Okay, let me slow this down. I've got this cranked right up. I've got my earbuds in and I'm hearing insulation. I don't hear no T in there.
Miss Proudfoot, what do you do for a living?
I am an installation technician.
Oh, yes. Okay. Slowing it down. I did hear the T. Okay. Okay, guys. I'm corrected. Thank you. See, I got it at 1 1/4 speed. So I wasn't hearing that T in there. Okay. Sorry. Well, it was wrong. Okay. Installation technician. Brinks Security. Is that what you guys are saying? Is it Brinks Security? Yeah, I heard the T now when I put it to normal speed. Nope, they don't have no cameras, they said.
That night, was the work van blocking your driveway? Could someone go in and out of your driveway?
The van is parked at the back of my driveway, so someone can pull in, yes.
Got it. Do you park your Infiniti SUV in the garage or outside the garage?
In the garage.
Okay,
In
she
the
goes in
garage.
the garage.
Do you have an automatic garage door?
With the clicker.
Yeah,
Right.
that's an automatic garage.
Do you leave that up or down at night?
Down.
Could anybody?
Do you see what Nancy Grace is doing here? She's locking down that house, that no intruder could have come in that house. That's what she's doing right now. The question she's asking, she's locking that house down. The doors were locked. All this stuff that she's asking, does anybody else have another key? No. Do you close your garage door at night or do you leave it open? They close it. It's an automatic door. You need a clicker or a code to get in and out. She's locking that house down to show that if anybody broke in, there would have had to be some forced entry. And I don't know if they're that dumb that they're not catching on to this, what Nancy Grace is getting to. There was no intruder. There was no forced entry and no way that anybody could have got in there. She goes on to talk about the dogs. The dogs didn't bark, which they would have done because she The way she breaks up her question and then jumps back to it, catches them. If they're going to be caught in a lie, they're going to get caught. The dogs are in a pen. She then asks, do they bark at strangers? And then she totally gets away from that question. And then down the line, she goes back to it. Well, if somebody would have came in, they would have barked, right? She's locking down that house to prove that the only one that could have done something to Sebastian was Katie. There was no forced entry. Nobody had a key to get in. What happened? We know Seth wouldn't go out without shoes. She's locking this down, you guys. I love this woman.
Lift it up. Like, is there an on and off button outside, or do you have to know a code or have the clicker to open it?
You'd have to know the code or have the clicker.
There you go. She's locking it down.
Does Sebastian know the code?
Not to the garage door,
There
but
you
to
go.
the man doors.
Okay. He doesn't know even how to get out of that garage. He don't. So he couldn't have gone out the garage. Right?
Not to the garage door, but to the house doors?
The regular door, yes.
So is there a code to get in your home, or do you use a regular key?
There's a code.
And he knows that code.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So he knows the code to the front door. So if he went out and the door closed behind him, he could have got back in without even having to bang on the door or nothing, because he knows the code. Right? There you go. Oops, forgot my shoes. Got to go back in. Oh, I can't get back in because the door's locked. No, he could have got back in because he has the code.
Question. I'm just trying to figure out how he would have gotten out, or if somebody came into the home. Could they have gotten through the garage door? No, unless they know the code or had the clicker, which they did not. Do you lock your doors at night?
Yes, ma'am.
There you go.
Could he
Lock
have left
it
on his
down.
own through those doors?
He could. Yes, ma'am.
But I heard in another interview where Mr. Proudfoot said he was not a, quote, wanderer. He didn't wander around. He had never left the home before on his own. Is that right?
Correct. We haven't had issues with him running or taking off in the past.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions regarding the doors.
Okay, so there we go again. This kid has never run away before, but there's this one time that he runs away when you guys are separated, and he runs away without any shoes on. Get out of here. Johnny Lee. Okay, Mitch, thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate all the support you guys are giving for the channel. Thank you so, so much. Okay.
Do you have any home surveillance, anything at all that would have given us an idea or a clue if the door had been opened or not, or a window?
Not directly from our house.
Well, then from where?
That's what we were hoping, that neighborhood Ring cameras and may have picked something up.
Okay, so now she's saying she hopes that Ring cameras in the neighborhood would have picked something up. But she had already said in a previous interview, other people's Ring cameras, and we seen like a big house across the street and this and that. She's hoping that they would have picked something up. But in a previous interview, she says at night they couldn't pick nothing up. It would be way too grainy, way too dark. It wouldn't pick up anything of him leaving. So he could have left and they just didn't pick up. The cameras didn't pick it. What?
Gotcha. I want to go back to that night. You said you were up till midnight. You were reading something. What were you reading?
A chapter for school.
A chapter for school. Are you in school?
I was, yes, ma'am. I've since dropped my classes for the time.
What are you studying?
Business administration.
Gotcha.
Business administration. Well, you would have to really be paying attention to what you're reading because you could screw up somebody's business, right? Business administration deals with a lot of numbers and figures and deals and this and that, right? Am I correct, you guys? But you're studying a chapter, but you're on the phone talking and falling asleep. It makes 0 sense, you guys. 0 sense. Let's see what else we're going to be able to catch here.
Where do you go to school?
DeVry.
Is DeVry not
So
an
that night you go to
online?
bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian?
Curly Sue, thank you. Again, Johnny Lee, thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate you. Curly Sue makes a good point here. She works for Brinks Home Security as an installation technician and doesn't have a security system on her house. We were getting to that, but thank you, Curly Sue. Yes, and DeVry is online, right? So it's like the only time you could study is after you're done work while you're at home. How do you study when you're on the phone with your husband for 3 hours? Apparently, right? Is DeVry out of business, you guys? Denali says DeVry is out of business, to my last knowledge. Yes, I know it was you, K. Mitch. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Somebody Google that real quick. Come on, you guys. You guys are my sleuths. My lobster sleuths, as Juror 11 would say it. Somebody Google that and see.
At that time.
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically.
I missed
Since
what
he's gotten
she said.
older, I've not been checking on him as frequently throughout the night because
Oh, okay.
normally he's good to go in his room once he goes.
Okay, let's see. I missed a part
So
here,
that
you
night
guys.
you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay.
No,
Do you
because he
normally?
wasn't there.
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking on.
See? You see what she says? Not typically if. And then he kind of turns and looks at her. I don't know if he nudged her or whatever, but then she changes what she was going to say. Did you guys catch that? Okay. Curly Sue said still in business. Okay. Denali says at least in Kansas, most definitely is for fraud dealing with payments. Okay. They're based in Illinois. They're still open. Okay. Okay, did you guys just catch that, though? She was about to say something. Look at Nancy Grace. Look at her face right there. That's what my face looks like right now. She was more concerned about the ultimatum, I think, that Chris gave her. Chris and her were separated since the beginning of February that we know of because he was hitting on other women. Go back to the beginning of this video. We go through it all and show you how we know that. So let me just rewind this a bit because listen to when she's talking. She says, blah, 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 if, and then he kind of you can see his face right now, kind of like, I don't know if he nudged her or whatever. She was going to say something, but then changes it. Let's go back.
At that time.
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically. Since
See? She asks if you usually go and check on Sebastian before you go to bed. She goes, not typically if, and then she starts saying something else. She changes what she was going to say. She almost spurted something, right? 1701. Let's go back again. Listen.
So that night you go to bed at midnight after you've been talking to Mr. Proudfoot on the phone. You put the dogs away in a cage, a crate inside the home,
listen.
and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay.
Listen.
Do you normally?
Not typically. Since he's gotten older, I've not.
Not typically if, since he's got older. You hear that? So did he nudge her like on the knee or something? Like, don't say that. I don't know. Summer Dawn says, I'm telling you, I'd bet dollars to donuts he's squeezing her leg when he disagrees, right? Yeah, she's losing her old man. Like I said, go back to the beginning, you guys, and this all came out in my last read. I think she flipped out on Sebastian after that meal. And I think it happened then. I don't think he ever made it back to that house. That's why she's not concerned about them checking the house or her vehicle. So on the way back, did they get into it? She gets him out of the vehicle and she does something to him outside of the vehicle. Nothing's going to be in the vehicle. Even if they find his hairs or skin cells or whatever. Yeah, because he rides around the vehicle. He's not going to find, there's going to be no traumatic evidence there because maybe she got him out of the car and did something to him outside of the car. I don't think he ever made it home. Ima said I seen him nudge her. Okay, let's go back and look one more time. Let's see if he nudges her. Watch him this time.
A crate inside the home, and you go to bed. Did you check on Sebastian at that time?
I did not.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically.
Oh yeah, I see his arm moving.
Since he's gotten older, I
see
been
this
checking on
arm
him as frequently
moving
throughout the night because normally he's good to go in his room once he goes to bed.
Earlier, you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed. What time was that?
Here we
Around
go with
10
this
o'clock.
noise. Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a thud.
A thud.
Thud. You hear a thud in your child's room, and you don't go and make sure, regardless of what they say, that they didn't break something, they didn't put a hole in the wall, they didn't drop out a window. You don't go and check. Bullshit.
You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there. Go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So you heard his voice at 10 p.m.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
says.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not know.
If he were to go out his window, what would he step on?
Mulch and bushes.
Did you say mulch or mush?
Mulch.
Mulch.
Mulch. Okay. Got it. Has he ever gone out the window before?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Is
so
his
not likely
home,
either.
Is his room on the front of the house or the back of the house?
Front.
Front. Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that up?
They do, but it's so dark that they can only see after it gets so dark at night, they can only see certain things where there's light.
I thought there were the two lights on.
On the opposite side of the house.
Okay. Can we talk about Sebastian's shoes? Why are you convinced Sebastian left without shoes on? Or are you?
Well, the reason that came about is because all of his shoes are accounted for inside the house still.
Are you positive?
I'm positive.
How do you know what clothes he was wearing?
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to bed.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the normal time you wake up?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a heavy sleeper?
Off and on.
Do you take any medication at night that would make you sleep?
No, ma'am.
But you heard nothing.
I did not know.
So we know he is alive and well at 10 p.m. At 6 a.m. He's gone.
Well, he's alive and well, according to Katie, right? If you can believe Katie. I don't believe her. And I don't believe if you hear a thud like that, you're going to investigate what it is. What is he doing in there? Did you fall out of the bed? Has he ever fallen out of the bed before? Probably not. Has he ever gone out the window before? No. Has he ever run away before? No. Has he ever taken off before? No. Has he gone out without shoes and stepping on the ant trap? No. But this one time, now he's taken off. Bullshit. Hello, Journey to Justice.
You say he's never left before. Is that right?
Correct. He's never run off before.
Never done it before.
And could I confirm, where was his bio dad at the time he went missing?
I believe he was at work in Nashville.
Had there been any family argument or altercation prior to him?
I'm glad she asked this because it came out in my read, a heated, aggressive argument. Now we know they were separated as far as Chris was concerned. That's why he hadn't been home all month. He says to this waitress that he was separated. He's hitting on other women, which also come out in my read, right? The heated, aggressive arguing could have been between them too. I'm done dealing with, I don't think he likes Sebastian at all. And I think that was one of the biggest things that stood in the way of him and her being together. So she had a decision to make. I think he gave her an ultimatum. She had a decision to make. And I think something happened with Sebastian. And There was, I think it blew up in that car. I don't think he ever made it home.
Him going missing.
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Proudfoot, when did you leave town?
Early February.
Here, watch how he skirts around this.
So you had been gone.
Like, why doesn't he say here that they were separated? Let's listen to what he says. He had every opportunity to say, we were separated. What guy doesn't come home at least on the weekends if you have a happy marriage? He hasn't been home since the beginning of February and only came home the end of February when Sebastian goes missing, right? So after, 3 weeks of not seeing your husband and knowing that your husband wants out because he can't handle, I think, Sebastian, blah, blah, blah. It's not, we can't do anything together without him. We can't do blah, 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 blah. We can't go on our motorcycle rides. That's the first thing they did after Sebastian's gone. They're out riding their motorcycles. You know what I mean? I think that this is a big thing here. He did not want Sebastian in the picture, and she had to make a decision, and I think she made a decision.
On for days before he went missing. Is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
What?
Had you
Days? You've been gone for weeks. Wait. He says days. He'd been gone for days. No, he'd been gone for weeks. Listen.
No, ma'am.
and Mr. Proudfoot, when did you leave town?
Early February.
Early February.
So you had been gone for days before he went missing. Is that correct?
Correct, ma'am.
Days? Weeks.
Had you visited home since you left?
You said from when I initially left?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I came home February 26th, the morning I was told he was missing.
There you go. She says, have you come home since you left? And he stutters like get this right. Yes, I came home the day that Avery was reported missing. So instead of saying, no, I have not been home since the beginning of February, that's telltale. You've been gone for almost a month without coming home to see your wife. Why is that? Well, we know what he told the waitress. He told the waitress it's because they were separated. He never even talked when he was away for that whole month, and he was talking and joking with all these people at the restaurant he was eating at daily. He mentions his ex and that he's in a battle for custody with his ex, and he mentions his daughter. He never mentions Katie or Sebastian. Yeah, she says weeks. He says days.
From the time that you left for the job in Memphis to February 26th, did you visit the home?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I was home. I can't give exact dates. Law enforcement has told me not to provide exact dates.
Bullshit.
But I had been home multiple times prior to February.
Prior to February. So he's not really lying here, right? He's not telling you the truth about February, but he says prior to February, he was home on and off multiple times. He would come home prior to February. But starting the beginning of February until February 26th, he never came home until he got the call that Sebastian was missing.
And then I left early February and then didn't come back till February.
See? She specifically asked him, did you come home during the time from February when you left, February, say the 3rd? I don't know if it's the 3rd, so don't quote me, but I'm just giving that. When you left February 3rd, between February 3rd and February 26th, did you come home? He said multiple times. She says, when? He says, well, I can't give exact dates, but prior to February. And then he comes out with what he's about to say right now, that he didn't come home between the beginning of February and February 26th. Let's back up and listen to that again.
Off and on.
Do you take any medication at night that would make you sleep?
Oh.
No, ma'am.
Wait.
Place you get in the car, you start looking in the neighborhood for him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, God, where was I?
Then you call.
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then I'm coming back.
Okay, wait. We're back here.
That morning, you woke up at 6 o'clock. Is that the normal time you wake up?
Where did it go?
Yes, ma'am.
Midnight, you were reading something. What were you reading?
Okay, wait. It's past
Is
here.
that
Sorry, you
right?
guys. I did it again.
Okay. Got it. Has he ever gone out the window before?
No,
No.
passes.
The clothes that we described are the ones I saw him in when he went to
It's
bed.
back here. It's right in here somewhere.
Do any of your neighbors' ring cams point toward your house? Could they pick that?
Put in
That's
there,
be-
knock it off, and go to sleep.
Okay. Do you normally?
Not typically.
I'm so sorry, guys. I did it again. I'm sorry. We're going to have to listen to a little bit of this again, but there's something that I caught. Okay? Something that I caught. You guys got to hear this.
Since he's gotten older, I've not been checking
Thank
on
you
him as
always-
frequently throughout the night because normally he's
Right, Ryan.
he's
Thank you
go in his
so,
room
so
once he goes
much.
to bed.
Earlier, you had stated you heard a noise in his room before you went to bed.
Okay, so I know it's after this. Let me just pause this for a second. Miss Always Wait Ryan says, supposedly the CPS case was in January and he had been gone since February. Could it be because he couldn't be around Sebastian because of the belt claim? He also says in this interview that the case was 3 years ago. Interesting. That's very interesting. I know he says in another interview that there's no open CPS. CPS wasn't even called about the belt. I don't know. We're going to get to that. So keep that question ready, Miss Always Right Ryan, because that's a good question. Thank you so much. And thank you for your super chat and supporting the channel. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's see if I can stop messing this up.
Ed, what time was that?
Around 10 o'clock.
10 p.m. What did it sound like?
Just a
Okay,
thud.
this is the thud.
A thud. You stated that you said, look, I don't care what you're doing in there. Go to bed. Is that right?
I was on the couch, which is near his room, and I said, Bubba, did you fall out of the bed? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, well, whatever you're doing in there, knock it off and go to sleep.
So
Whatever
you
you're doing
heard
in
his
there.
voice at 10 p.m.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any idea what the sound actually was?
I do not know.
If he were to go out his window, what would he step on?
Mulch.
Okay, I know
and,
it's past this.
Bushes.
Did you say molt?
After it gets so dark at night, they can only see certain things where there's light.
I thought there were the two lights on.
On the opposite side of the house.
Okay. Can we talk about Sebastian's shoes? Why are you convinced
I know it's
Sebastian left
after
without
this.
shoes on? Or are you?
Well, the reason that came about is because, no, ma'am,
But you heard nothing.
I did
I
not
know
know.
it's after this, you guys. I'm
So
sorry.
we know he is alive and well at 10 p.m. At 6 a.m. He's gone. You say he's never left before. Is that right?
Correct. He's never run off before.
It was
can
important.
I confirm, where was his bio dad at the time he went missing?
I believe he was at work in Nashville.
Had there been any family argument or altercation prior to him going missing?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Proudfoot,
Wow.
when did you leave town?
Here we go.
Early February.
Okay. Now listen to this really carefully. She says, when did you leave town? Early February. When did you come back? February 26th, when this happened with Sebastian. Then she backtracks a bit and she says, so did you come home any other time during that time from the beginning of February to February 26th? He said multiple times. And then she said, when? He says, oh, I don't know the exact dates, but it was prior to February. You know what I mean? Like he's sidetracking the question. Then he says he did not come home between the beginning of February and February 26th. Let's listen to this in full so I don't mess it up. He's backtracking and he's hiding something.
So you had been gone for days before he went missing. Is that correct?
Correct,
Weeks.
ma'am.
Had you
Says-
visited home
Yes,
since you
she
left?
says weeks. Have you visited home?
You said from when I initially left?
From when
Yes.
I initially left?
Yes, ma'am. I came home February 26th the morning.
See, he says from when I initially left. So in his mind, he's not lying. He's going to go back to when he first started going out there to work. Right? From when I first started going out there to work, I've been back multiple times. But she was specifically asking between the beginning of February and February 26th. And she's not going to let it go. Okay, let's back that 2057. Let's back it up just here. Really pay attention to this, you guys.
Left?
You said from when I initially left?
See, he stutters.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. I came home February 26th the morning I was told he was missing.
From the
Listen,
time that you left for the job in Memphis to February 26th, did you visit the home?
Yes, ma'am.
listen.
When?
I was home. I can't give exact dates. Law enforcement has told me not to provide exact dates, but I had been home multiple times prior to February.
I had been home multiple times prior to February, is what he said. That's not what she's asking you. She's asking you, when did you come home between February, the beginning of February and February 26th? He's going back to before February. He just said it.
And then I left early February and then didn't come back till February 26th in the morning.
Then I didn't come back till February 26th.
So you were not home from the time you left early February till Feb 26. Is that right?
Correct, ma'am.
Correct. Because he told the waitress that he was separated. Did Katie know this? Did they have an argument about it? Did he give her an ultimatum? I'm not coming back until Sebastian's gone. Could she not wait to get to her husband? Because we know as soon as Sebastian's gone, she's running off with her husband and forgetting all about Sebastian being missing back at their home. Could she not wait? Did they get into an argument in that car after eating? And that's when it happened. He never made it back to that house because in her mind, she just wanted to be with her husband. Yeah, Nancy's no fool.
Where are you living in Memphis?
I have an RV trailer that I stay in at an RV park.
RV park. Okay. Following back up on that morning, you search the home, Ms. Proudfoot. Then you get in your vehicle and you start searching. Did Sebastian know how to drive?
No, ma'am.
Was your car in the same location when you woke up that morning as it was the night before?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your car been searched by police?
Multiple times. Yes, ma'am.
Have scent dogs looked at your car?
Yes, ma'am.
So your car's in the same place. You get in the car.
Okay. So what that tells me, obviously he's not in the home, right? So what that tells me now is something happened. I want to know what time they left that restaurant and what time she got home. How much time in between when they left that restaurant and when she got home? Because that's when I think something happened to Sebastian, and I think she got him out of the car and did something to him outside of that car. What do you guys think? Because the car would be seen coming and going, so she couldn't do it afterwards. So, did she do something to him between the time they left the restaurant and the time she gets home? When she gets home, it's dark. They can't see if somebody else is in that car. The footage is grainy as shit, right? They've got no floodlights that come on automatically. She pulls into the garage, so you wouldn't see who got in or out of that car. When they leave the house, they're inside the garage door is closed. She says she closed the garage door behind her, so that there's no proof that Sebastian even got out of that car. I believe it happened between the time they left that eating and the time she got home. I want to know when they left the restaurant and what time she got home. That's what I want to know. Because I have not left that home, that car. Nope.
Or you start looking in the neighborhood for him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you call Mr. Proudfoot, right?
I believe I was already on the phone with him at that point.
I believe
Okay.
I was already on the phone with him.
Question. Who called 911?
I did.
You did.
She was going to say something.
What
Cut her
time?
off.
Without looking at the call log, I can't give you the exact time, but on or about 6:20.
On or about, like
And
he
had you guys
studied
been
what he's
talking
going
on
to
the phone
say.
before 6 a.m. or did you initially call Mr. Proudfoot at the time you realized Sebastian was gone?
I called him when I realized Sebastian was gone.
I called him when I realized Sebastian was gone. Why wouldn't you call 911? Okay? You call him when Sebastian's gone. You leave the house looking for him, and you still haven't called 911. What? Who does that? I'm calling 911 first if my kid's missing. There's nothing he can do if he's 3 hours away. You're secondary. First is 911, then it's his father, then it's you. And I'm surely not leaving that house. I'm waiting for the police, so if there's any evidence, I'm not going to disturb it. I'm waiting for his dad to get there because his dad apparently didn't live far away. I'm waiting for his bio dad to get there. Then one of us can leave and go look in the neighborhood. They did everything backwards.
Have you guys been out looking for Sebastian?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ha.
We were given information that you guys have left.
Correct. And then she didn't even call police. He did on a three-way. And then he says he went directly to the sheriff's office because he knew somebody there and he didn't want to be curtailed because they didn't know. They called 911. It would be sent to different offices that were probably closed and this and that and whatever. Why didn't she call? Number one, he's gone. He's not in the house. 911. My kid is missing. Number two, bio dad. Number three, then the one that's 3 hours away that can't do nothing. They're full of it is right, Spunky. I agree, Spunky. I agree. Spunky, you changed your name. Huh? I remember the photo, but you changed your name. But I agree. Here we go.
The home. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I'm going back to work.
Oh, here we go.
You're
I
going
missed
back to
it.
work. What
Damn
about you,
it.
Miss Prophet?
Hang on. Let's back this up. 2402. Let's back it up. Sorry, you guys. She asked that they've left the home now. Why'd you leave? Why'd you leave? Well, your son is still missing. If he did walk away and turns up, there ain't nobody home. Mommy's not home. Mommy is too busy running after the big D there. Making sure he's not messing around and that their marriage doesn't fail. That's what she's doing. She's showing where her priorities are right here by leaving that home. Her priority is Chris, not Sebastian. And I do believe that he gave her an ultimatum. And she chose Chris.
Have you guys been out looking for Sebastian?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Bull.
We were given information that you guys have left the home. Is that true?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Listen to her.
I'm going back to work.
Wait a minute.
You're going back to-
He says he's going back to work. At the beginning of this interview, he says he's not working anymore and everything at St. Jude's where he was working is on hold. That's what he said at the beginning of the interview, you guys. Go back and listen. He said that he's not working right now, that it's all on hold. And then when Nancy Grace, remember what I said? She'll ask a series of questions and then let it stew. And then she'll come back to it. They forgot what they said already. A liar can never remember their lies. Anyway, now she's saying, why'd you leave the home? Well, I'm going back to work. Wait a minute. At the beginning of the interview, you said you're not working right now. Everything's on hold. But listen to what she says.
For work. What about you, Miss Prophet?
No, I'm not going back to work. Not yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Prophet?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work.
To accompany my husband going back to work. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He's leaving because he says he's going back to work. But at the beginning of the interview, he said he's not working right now. Everything is on hold. Why did you leave? I'm going back to work. What? Did you not remember what you just said at the beginning of the interview? Number one, that's with him. And then her, why did you leave? To accompany my husband. Your priority is your husband, not your little boy. And your priority is being with your husband because he's still alive and kicking, right? You got to save your marriage, right? He's out there screwing around, right? He gave you an ultimatum, right? It all came out in the cards. Go back and watch my readings, you guys. It all came back. You can find them all under the live tab. This all came out a week or so ago before any of this happened. And this woman has an autistic child missing. You don't know where he is. No clues, no nothing. And you're leaving to accompany your husband. You're showing Who is your priority? Let's back that up one more time, you guys. You got to hear it. Let that sink in. 24:18. Here we go.
I'm going back to work.
What?
You're going back to work. What about you, Miss Proudfoot?
No, I'm not going back to work.
I'm not going back to
Not
work.
yet, at least.
Did you leave the home also, Miss Proudfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Listen,
Why?
To accompany my husband going back to work, and then I'm coming back.
Okay. When will you be back? Do you know yet?
No, not yet.
no. I left the home where my son is missing from to accompany my husband going back to work. Wait a minute. He just said at the beginning of the interview that he's not working. You're not working now. He's not working. He said at the beginning of the interview that everything's on hold. He's not working, but you're accompanying your husband back to go back to work. What? While your child is still missing? Accompanying your husband, going back to a job that he doesn't even have right now, that's on hold, instead of being home for your son. Make that make sense.
Are you concerned about being away while the
It
search
doesn't
is
know.
ongoing?
Absolutely, I am.
You're concerned about being away while he's missing? Then why are you away? And she has no clue when she's going back. She said it. Why would you leave your home to accompany your husband back to a job that he doesn't even have right now? He said it himself. Everything's on hold. You have no clue when you're going back. You're not going back to work, and you don't know when you're going back. Seems a little fishy to me.
Then why are you going?
Because my son could be anywhere, and we're looking everywhere and anywhere.
Oh, you're going with your husband too because you're searching because he could be anywhere. But why are you searching on the route and in the place where your husband usually resides? Why? Why? He could be anywhere. Why did you choose the route and the place where your husband usually stays when he's away from you working for weeks at a time? You don't see him. Why are you searching the route to where he usually stays away from you? Why didn't you go the other way? Do you think what? Did you think Sebastian followed him to work a month ago? What? Like what? This makes it makes as much sense what she's saying as what I just said. Oh.
I've got a question for you.
Yes,
I want to find out about Mr. Proudfoot hitting Sebastian
Here
with
we
a belt.
go.
What happened?
That was actually several years ago, and it
To
was
Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr. Proudfoot. To Mr.
Not you, Katie. Shut up. This is Mr. Proudfoot. I know. She is flipping out right now because, oh my God. See, you're putting me, I got to do this damn interview. And now they're bringing up my past. He's probably told her, I'm going to be pissed if they bring up my past. I've got a case going on. I'm being accused of all this stuff. And here I am again because of Sebastian being missing now. My shit is being put out all over the internet. You can see it in his face. This is exactly what this guy is thinking. And that's why she tries to curtail it and stop that question, because she knows he's going to get pissed right off about this being asked. She downplays it. Any man ever that was not his father, and even his father, any of my children's father, if my ex-husband would have laid a hand on any one of my kids, there would have been a problem. There's a right and a wrong way to discipline, and one of them is not using a belt to whack them with. But let alone my husband touching one of our children, a stepfather touching one of my children, hell no, it ain't gonna happen, and I don't look good in orange, so let's hear. She tries to mosey it and soften it, and let's stop talking about this. Nancy Grace shuts her right down. No, not you. I'm talking to him. They both downplay it, which again shows me even more. Her concern is Chris, not Sebastian. What do you think that did to your son? Somebody that's not even a parent whooping him with a belt. I don't care if it was once, twice, 3 times. Even raising your hand to my son is what you should have been saying. But here she is trying to soften it all because she knows the wrath of what's coming, because this just come out in this interview. And he's going to blame her and Sebastian yet again for his dirty deeds being aired and coming to light again. Sebastian. I don't think either one of these people like Sebastian anymore. And because of Sebastian going missing, his dirty laundry's come out, and I know he's none too happy about it. She knows it. Right now at this point, she knows it, and she's trying to soften that blow because she knows she's going to hear about it once this interview is done. He's going to lose his shit because it was brought up, his dirty deeds again. Because of your son. I can see it. Like you guys know I'm intuitive, and I'm telling you, I bet you any money that happened after this interview.
Mr. Proudfoot.
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Proudfoot, what happened?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were
Oh,
asking.
I'm sorry. See,
Katie.
I misunderstood. What are you doing bringing this up? Do you see the way he shook his head there and like, why are you bringing this up? Why are you making me talk about this? Watch her face. Like she right now is like, oh God, oh no, here we go. I'm in shit after this interview. There's going to be another fight. And the way he shakes his head before answering, it's like trying to get his scruples right. Like the marbles, you can hear them bouncing around in his head. Okay, I got to soften this even more now.
Sebastian had gotten in trouble. He got caught lying.
They blame Sebastian for everything.
I said, hey, you got to have a punishment for this. He says, yes, sir. And I said, okay.
You got to have a punishment for what you just did at school. That's not your place, mister. For somebody who's never even really home, didn't want to do anything with Sebastian, couldn't care less about Sebastian, couldn't care less enough that you guys both hightailed it out of there when he's missing. You don't care about Sebastian. You cared about ruling with an iron fist like you do. That's why you're on your 5th marriage, 6th marriage, 7th, we don't know. You weren't even home half the time. But when you are home, you're punishing him?
So I gave him a swat with a belt on his buttocks on the outside of his clothes. 1 swat.
What did he lie about?
Honestly, I don't remember at the time, but it was probably something dealing with school because that's.
Okay, so you don't even remember what he lied about. It probably had something to do with school. So you don't even know why you punished her child. If it was something that bad that he had to have a whack with a belt from somebody that wasn't his parent, you think that he would remember what it was for? Because it was that bad that you had to punish him? But you don't remember what it was? Bullshit.
Majority where his issues lie.
Did he have other issues at school?
Some behavioral stuff, but nothing too crazy.
Behavioral stuff, nothing too crazy, but crazy enough that you whacked him with a belt on a kid that wasn't even your kid. Make it make sense. You're contradicting yourself every time you open your mouth, bud. Shut up.
What kind of behavioral stuff?
He has a hard time. He's like awkwardly socially blending in with students. So it's a little.
Listen to what he says, what he explains, because he's talking about himself. He's talking about the family life. When this little boy's missing and you're trying to say everything negative that you can say about him, when an opportunity arises to say something, have you guys not noticed this? When there's an opportunity for him to say something negative about Sebastian, he jumps all over it. And they asked him, what problems at school? He wasn't blending in. No, he wasn't blending in your world. You got to read between the lines here, you guys.
He's trying to figure out how to do it, but respecting people's space. He gets a little too close. And then kids don't really accept that too much. So it kind of causes an issue. But
causes an issue when he gets too close. What am I getting from that? Yeah, he's causing issues because he's latched onto his mommy and you don't have the time with his mother that you want because he's always around and invading your space. That's what I'm getting from it. Why every time you have an opportunity to attack Sebastian, you do? And it's very telling in an interview like this, because you're projecting how you feel and what you think. How do you know this? Were you there? Were you at school? Did you see him doing these things at school? You were hardly home, so how could you? But you're going to comment on it. And every dig you can take at Sebastian, you're going to take. Oh.
He'll not stop and he continues on. So then it causes an issue. And instead of being honest about it, he'll lie. Like, no, I didn't. Okay, Sebastian.
See? I didn't do it. Oh, yeah. Okay, Sebastian. So you're saying that the kid doesn't know how to tell the truth, right? You call the kid an out liar. And look at this smirk. Yeah. Okay, Sebastian. Like, you'll pay for that. Oh.
We're lying about doing
Was that the first time? Was that the first time you had ever hit him with a belt?
Yes, ma'am. The one and only time, actually.
I don't believe that for a minute.
When was this?
Years ago. I don't believe that for a minute. And Sebastian isn't here to tell us anything different. Isn't that convenient, Chris? And the times that you are home is when you punish him?
Years ago, ma'am.
Any idea how many? 3, 10, 1?
It probably at least 3 years ago.
I don't understand how that turned into a CPS or Child Protective Services complaint. How were they alerted that you hit him with a belt?
That did not turn into a CPS service call.
There were other CPS reports, right? Were they regarding your other child?
There is one in regards to my daughter that I know of out in New Mexico with my ex-wife and myself.
What happened?
At the time.
Okay, so here's how we know he lied. Did you guys catch it? Here's how we know how he lied. Did you guys catch it? How did people on the internet find out that he hit Sebastian with a belt? You think these two were going to tell you? No. They found out because there was a CPS report done about it. If there's no CPS report, how did YouTubers find out that you hit Sebastian with a belt? That's how we know he's lying right there. That's how you know this guy just lied right to Nancy Grace. They found out he hit Sebastian with a belt because they found a CPS report about it. Okay? These two never came out with that before. They weren't going to divulge that he had ever hit her kid. People investigated and found out he hit Sebastian with a belt and there was a CPS complaint put in. Otherwise, nobody would have known about it because these two wouldn't have been offering that up. They have no choice but to offer it up now and try and explain it and cushion it because there is a CPS report and YouTubers found it. How else would anybody have found out about that one time, he says, of hitting Sebastian with a belt? I guarantee you, these two weren't going to ever bring that out, but they have to address it now because somebody found that CPS report. So to lie and say that there's no CPS report, now you can't believe him and you can't believe her. Where is she saying, yes, wait a minute, yes, there was, but they came and they talked to us? And where is she defending her son? She's not. She's defending him.
My ex-wife had fled to New Mexico with my daughter. We're going through a custody and a divorce case.
I wonder why she fled.
And at the time, when I'd call and try to check in on my daughter, I could never reach my ex-wife at that time. So a welfare check was requested. Law enforcement told me to call CPS if I had concerns. So I called CPS. Law enforcement did make a welfare call, and that was it.
Then how does that turn into a CPS complaint against you?
Right.
I have no idea, ma'am. There's a lot.
You don't have any idea? Yes, you do. Because in the CPS report, it says you hit Sebastian with a belt. How do we find that out if there's not a report there? Idiot. He's trying to push it off on an ex-wife and something that's going on with her. She just doesn't want me having any contact with my daughter, so she made this fake report and trying to explain this CPS bullshit away where he can't. That has nothing to do with what they found. You hit Sebastian with a belt. That has nothing to do with your daughter in New Mexico. Your wife or ex-wife fled to New Mexico to get the hell away from you and took her daughter with her because you probably abused that daughter too. And I'm not saying SA. I'm saying physical abuse. And now you're trying to use that to cover up the CPS report that the YouTubers found that you hit Sebastian with a belt. It's in the report you hit Sebastian with a belt. That has nothing to do with your daughter or ex. And he's trying to confuse the two.
A lot of misinformation out there right now in regards to my New Mexico case that actually has no relevance to the Sebastian case.
It does.
Then was there even a CPS complaint against you in New Mexico?
Not that I am aware of. And my attorney and myself are well educated on my case, and there's nothing that we know of.
Yeah, and Summer Dawn, yes, and we know it's true what the YouTubers found that CPS was called because he hit Sebastian with a belt. We know it's true now because he just admitted it. But what he's saying is there's no CPS report. Well, how did the YouTubers find out about it? They searched reports, police reports, and everything else, and found a CPS report that said that you hit him with the belt, and you just admitted to hitting him with the belt. So how can you say there's no report, idiot? But then he brings in his ex-wife and his daughter to try and confuse the two cases. So people don't realize, oh, okay, they were talking about your ex-wife and your daughter. Oh, okay, it had nothing to do with Sebastian. Yes, it did, because it specifically said you hit him with a belt and you just admitted to it. So you just sunk your lie.
Was there a TRO taken out against you regarding
Yes,
your daughter?
Yep.
not a TRO, but a TPO.
A temporary protective order. Why was that taken out?
So in regards to that case,
Here we go again.
my ex-wife had a TPO put against her.
Listen, this guy has an answer for everything. This is okay, if they ask this, I got to say this. If they ask this, I got to say this. He's never to blame. It's always somebody else. It's his ex-wife. It's his daughter. It's Katie. It's Sebastian. It's always somebody else that's to blame. It's not you. 5 marriages. Oh, it's not you. 5 marriages, buddy. Maybe the problem's you. Right? But it's to him, it's everybody else's fault. It's because of something somebody else did. And even this restraining order now, he's going to bring in, well, I then turned around out of spite and filed one. That's the only reason why there's any mention of a TPO. No, there's not, idiot. He's trying to confuse again, trying to take the heat off of him. And I guarantee you, after this interview with Nancy Grace that he had, he lost it on Katie. This is all your fault. All my dark secrets are coming out because of your child again. I bet you any money, you guys. Yeah, he's got an explanation for everything, and it's never his fault. 5 marriages, buddy. I guess you're the problem.
Her in Tennessee at the time. When we went to court, that got dissolved. I was ordered to hand my daughter back over to my ex-wife at the time. She gets in a truck. She fleds to New Mexico. 2 days later, she files one in retaliation.
There you go. It's retaliation. No,
Is it still in
it's
place?
probably because your daughter probably told her mother that you were an abusive parent, and that's why she got a TPO against you. That's why she probably fled in the first place, to get away from you. You're violent. You've been shown to be abusive. But you're not the problem, buddy. 5 marriages later, 5 wives leave you, but you're not the problem. Your daughter's scared of you. Something's gone wrong with Sebastian. You hit Sebastian with the belt, but you can't remember why, but it was bad enough to hit him with, but you can't remember what it was. This guy is sickening. He's gross. And so is she. Because she's sitting there like a cold ice queen. Say what you need, baby. Say what you need. I'll back you up, baby. As she sits there supporting her husband, going back to a job that he doesn't even have. He said that at the beginning of the interview. He doesn't have a job. It's on hold. And you're sitting there beside this goof that abuses his wives, abuses his kids, Lord knows what else. I guess he taught you how to do it really well. Katie, because I think Katie did it. And he helped later on. She's an ice queen right now. Supporting somebody like that and leaving your home where your son is missing. Disgusting.
No, ma'am, that was dropped within, I think, 2 weeks of it being put in place.
A temporary is only good, usually 2 weeks, 30 days until you get it
about
permanent.
the belt incident. You're telling me that was the only time that you ever hit Sebastian with a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
And
How
you're
stone
also
cold
telling
she
me
is.
that did not make it to CPS?
No, ma'am, that did not.
Question
Yes, ma'am.
regarding Faith's furniture.
Yes,
A few
ma'am.
days after Sebastian goes missing, did you replace furniture in Faith's room?
No, ma'am, I have not replaced any furniture in my daughter's room.
Is there any new furniture in the home?
Yes, ma'am, there's a bed that was given to me and it's currently in my garage.
Has anything been taken out of the home?
No, ma'am.
Nothing been taken out of the home, but they're in this RV and they were seen bringing boxes of stuff and everything out of that house and putting it into this RV. But nothing's been taken out of the home?
I was curious about a statement that Miss Proudfoot made earlier that canine dogs hit on the barn around the home and near a retention pond. Did that happen?
I'm not sure.
See his eyebrows all furred up? It's almost like, why did you say that? Why did you say that? Because it's not true, right? We know now that is not true. He knows it ain't true. And she's sitting there cold faced like, okay, you take care of this, cover it up. I know I messed up. Get me out of this now. Right? And look at his eyebrows. That's searching for something to say. Why isn't she speaking up? Because she's the one that said it. Why is he covering it? Why is he answering the questions when it was her that said it? Because he's trying to cover up her lies now.
About the barn, but the retention pond, yes.
Because law enforcement says the dogs did not hit, but Miss
There's
Proudfoot says they did hit around the retention pond.
So there's been a lot of miscommunication in regards to what is and what is not. To help clear that up,
Civil, his first name's Chris.
law enforcement
Christopher.
has actually spoken directly with me, showed me a few things. What I can tell you is from day one, there was 5 dogs that started the scent for the search. And then after that, from the next 8 days out from that, there have been dogs from all over the country that have come in and done searches and had scent hits in various locations. But I would say a certain percentage of them tend to go toward the same spot, which would have been a retention pond.
That's still all bullshit. It's still bull. It never happened. He is now trying to cover up her lie.
So the law enforcement dogs did not hit on the retention pond. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying they did. There was at least 3
No,
that
they
I know
didn't.
for a fact that did hit on the retention pond.
And the pond has been drained, correct? And there was nothing there.
Yes, ma'am. They have walked it, drained it, and there's nothing. The retention pond was only knee deep anyways.
Knee deep. It was only knee deep. Well, you seem to know a lot about it.
On one occasion, Mr. Proudfoot, you stated that you and Mrs. Proudfoot have been, quote, vetted and cleared of foul play. That was stated on Chronicles of Olivia. Is that true? What do you mean by that?
Yes. So after working with law enforcement of all agencies, they have actually told.
You did not work with law enforcement. They questioned you. There's a big difference of being questioned and working with them. Big difference. Okay? And he did state that he passed a lie detector test. And at the beginning of this, he said he didn't even take one. It's lie after lie after lie after lie. Let's watch their faces. You can see concern already in his forehead here. It's like, oh God, here we go.
Told us that there is no foul play, no nefarious issues. We've been cleared of all wrongdoing. We are working extremely cooperative with all law enforcement agencies at any point in time that they've called, come to the house, anything.
If you were fully working with law enforcement, why don't you tell them where Sebastian is? See the worry in his eyebrows? His eyebrows have now lifted, and she is just stone cold. We're talking about your son being missing here. It's been a month. And look at how stone cold she is. At least I got my husband, right? I got the problem out of the way. Husband, are you proud of me?
Was Sebastian angry or upset before he disappeared?
No, ma'am.
Not to my knowledge.
What is your theory about where is Sebastian?
I wish I knew where he was, to be honest.
Your theory.
I think it's possible that someone has my son,
Why?
because I feel like if he had been close to the house or had walked off, that we would found him by now with as many people as we had searching.
Have you checked his social media?
He doesn't have social media.
Have you checked his?
She is being very careful in her facial expressions. You can tell that they watch the true crime channels. She is cold as ice right now, talking about your missing son, and you are as cold as ice. Did she hand him off to somebody? She did something to him. I'm telling you, she did something. If she didn't take his life, she gave him to traffickers or something. I don't know. She's confident that he's not in the area. What do you know? What do you know that we don't?
phone?
His phone has been thoroughly checked. Yes, ma'am.
Have you handed your phones to police, both of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Has police searched all of your devices, your laptop, your iPad, everything?
Everything. Yes, ma'am.
Other than you, Miss Proudfoot, who is the last person that saw or heard Sebastian alive the Sunday before he went missing?
Two of his aunts, a cousin, and the staff where we had dinner.
And that was at BJ's the night before, or the bowling alley?
So BJ's, and then we went to the bowling alley, and then after the bowling alley, we went to dinner before coming home.
I want to follow up again on the dogs hitting. Earlier, Ms. Proudfoot had stated the dogs hit around the house, the barn, and at the retention pond. Is that correct?
I don't know about the barn, but I do know that they did track to the pond. Yes.
Did the dogs also hit around the house?
Yes, ma'am.
On the outside of the house?
Yes, ma'am.
That's funny because that's not what we're hearing from law enforcement.
Were they scent dogs or cadaver dogs?
They brought in both cadaver and tracking dogs.
We've never heard that they
Which
picked up any
dog
scent.
hit? A cadaver dog or a scent dog?
Scent dog.
It's all been scent dogs that have hit. The cadaver dogs have not hit on anything that we know of.
What do you believe Sebastian was wearing when he disappeared? And would that have been what he slept in?
Yes. So the clothes, the black sweatpants with the white stripes and the long sleeve black shirt, that is what he went to bed in. And the reason that I believe he was still wearing those clothes is because when we searched, I did not find those clothes in the house. So I have to assume that that's what he was still wearing.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you say that's what he wore when he went to bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Joining us right now, in addition to Katie Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot, the bio mom and stepdad of Sebastian, an all-star.
Okay, so now they're just getting into, talking about what they've just discussed and everything else here. You guys, like I've pointed out to you, what I feel was off in this interview, things that they said, how they were trying to cover certain things up, how they were trying to make certain aspects of this when confronted with evidence or documents like CPS, like the TPO, stuff like that, how they try to pussyfoot around it. The words that hit me the most was when Nancy Grace said, "Yusuf left the home. Why did you leave the home, Chris?" "To return to work." But at the beginning of the interview, he said that he wasn't working right now, that all that was put on hold. So what job are you returning to? That's a lie. Then when she asks Katie, well, did you leave the home? Yes. Why did you leave the home? To accompany my husband. Thank you so much, Shelly Agua, for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you. So it's like, that's what hit me the most. That proved to me right there. Her concern is Chris, not Sebastian. And I do believe that their marriage was in trouble. I do believe that he was having an affair. And I believe that he gave her an ultimatum. I'm not coming back as long as Sebastian's there. We know that Sebastian was supposed to be going to live with his dad come summer. Once he was done school, his dad was going to take custody of him, from what we hear. Maybe she couldn't wait that long. She was tired of waiting to be with her husband. She has proved time and time and time again that her husband is her top priority. You heard it out of her own mouth. That's why she left the house, was to accompany her husband back to work, to a job that wasn't even there for him. The way that she didn't stick up and say, yes, there was a CPS report. You're wrong. Why are you lying? To pussyfooting and trying to make things all fluffy when confronted with stuff that wrongdoings that he did. It's like she's trying to protect him under this layer of fluffy cloud. You know what I mean? I believe something happened to Sebastian from the time they left that restaurant to the time they got home. And I believe that it was outside of that car. That's why she was not worried about them searching the home or the vehicle. That is just my opinion from this interview. Something happened between the time they left that restaurant and the time she pulled in that garage and closed that garage door. I don't think he was with her. Now, the rest is speculation. Did he come home on his motorcycle, in his truck? Did he rent a car? Anything to come back to help? Okay, where you threw him, we got to get him out of there. I'll come back and I'll do it. You stay at home so it doesn't look conspicuous. I'll move him deeper, farther into the woods or down the road farther, or I'll dump him somewhere on the way back. Which brings me to Nancy Grace asked you about searching, and you said, well, we're putting up flyers and everything between their home and where they are right now, which is a park that he stayed at while he worked out there. Well, why are you searching the route that Chris would take to get to work and to get home? Why are you searching that route? Why didn't you go the other way, the opposite way? Why that specific route? And why are you accompanying your husband back to a job that's not even there waiting for him? So that's what I got, you guys. That's my feelings on it. That's what I picked up from this. And they need the proof. They need to find Sebastian. She either unalived him or she gave him up to somebody. Because even with Sebastian going to live with his dad, there's going to be times that he's going to come back to the house to visit, maybe for Easter breaks, Christmas, New Year's, whatever. Chris didn't want to deal with him ever again. It's just like, I just want him gone. Never have to deal with him again. Give him to his dad so we don't got to deal with him ever again. Did he come to the realization, oh God, this kid's still going to be with us for the summers when he's not in school. He's going to come and stay for weekends. He's this and that. Is there something else that's going on there? Maybe with the daughter. You know what I mean? I can't get my daughter because of Sebastian. All this is happening because of Sebastian. I don't ever want to hear his name again. I don't want to see him again. That's what I think happened. So even giving him to Seth means that she would still have to take him for like vacations and, you know, when he's off school for March break, or she's going to look like a really bad mom then, right? They didn't want no connection to Sebastian to ever have to happen again. That's what I think. And this guy is mean and controlling. We've heard all about him, how he rules. It's his way or the highway, and narcissist. So I'm going to leave you guys with that thought. Let me know, even after this is done. Let me know in the comments what you think below after going through this the way that we just did. And remember their prior interviews where he claimed with Chronicles of Olivia that He passed a lie detector test. But then when confronted with Nancy Grace, he didn't pass one at all. So I'm going to leave it there, you guys. I'm going to jump off. I've got to get myself some dinner. Give it a thought. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for all your super chats and donations. I really appreciate it. It really helps the channel, helps me to keep going like this and setting time aside out of my life to be able to investigate and get deeper into these things. It does very much help the channel, and I appreciate all your support, all yous that are subbing up and liking the video. I love you guys. Like, you guys make it happen. I've got the utmost respect for you guys, and I value your opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Until next time, you guys, mods, thank you. You guys rock. Till next time, you guys, please take care of yourselves. Please stay safe. Always be aware of your surroundings. Be careful who you trust. I love you guys to the moon and back. Bye-bye for now.